The Rock and Roll and Coffee Show is brought to you by Retroactive, located at Broadway at the Beach in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, taking you back to the 70s, 80s, and 90s. ShopRetroactive.com. Pick up your bottle of the Rock and Roll and Coffee Show Hot Rockin' Hot Sauce now at Retroactive or rnrcoffeeshow.com.
It's the Rock and Roll and Coffee Show. Yeah, with Joe.
And it looks like we've got Robbie with you, right?
Yep.
That's a great surprise. I was not expecting this.
Great. Awesome.
So we're going to talk about your new album. You guys have a new album out with Mourning Noise called Scream Streams, right?
Yep.
Released a couple months ago, I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious though, because I know Mourning Noise was one of your first bands, right, Steve?
Yeah. Basically pretty much my first band.
It was your first band. Okay. So what led to bringing it back now?
You know, Cleopatra Records had come to me like years ago, probably 2017, 2016 maybe, and wanted to release the old stuff. And I just sat on it for quite a while. And then finally, right before COVID, we all kind of signed the contract. And of course, COVID hit and it came out during COVID and it got a really good response. So myself and the original guitar player, Tommy, and bass player, Chris, were like, hey, maybe this is something we should revisit, let's have some fun. And we needed a singer and we held an audition, and Robbie, who I've known since he was a little kid, came down and nailed it. And so we kind of started playing, and then we decided, well, let's write a song. And it came out really good, and here we are today.
So are all the songs on the record new songs?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. And you wrote them all together as with Robbie.
Yes.
So Robbie, when you got the audition, I mean, you already knew Steve. He said he knew you from when you were a little kid. I mean, how long ago, how old were you when you guys first met? When you said a little kid, how old was that?
I remember, I think the first Danzig show I went to was maybe 2007, 2006. So I was
10.
10 years old, 11 years old.
And from when, from when Robbie was a kid and putting out his own stuff, he would always give me a CD, and I've watched him grow as a musician, for, again, since he was like 10 years old. So it was, really interesting that to work with him, because now, it's kind of like we're marrying, his expertise, our old expertise, and and it came together like a combustible cocktail, and it just works.
So when you got the call to go audition, I mean, how exciting was that for you, Robbie?
It's funny. I tried not to get my hopes up because I said, I don't know if I'll fucking get it. So I purposely didn't psych myself out too much. But then I felt really comfortable when, the first song in, I think it clicked immediately. And I said, yeah, I was stoked.
We went to this shitty rehearsal studio in New Jersey, and my wife had been there, and after he ran through like 2 or 3 songs, and she pulls me over. She goes, he's the one. I know. Give him the job. I'm like, I know.
What songs did you audition with?
It was like Vincent
Dawn of the Dead, Laser Lights, all the older ones.
Yeah.
Because at that point, obviously we weren't writing or nothing, but yeah.
We had no intention of it doing what it's done. I mean, we've had some great shows, great opportunities this past few years, and 2025 is going to be an amazing year for us with gigs and whatnot. We're going over to Europe.
Okay.
So Europe's going to get to experience us.
Now you've done some pretty high profile gigs, but you haven't done a lot of gigs, have you?
No, you know what? Look, we now have a booking agent. So they're working on shows for the new year. You just don't book a show overnight, because that doesn't work like that. I mean, we'll do a show. I do a Black Friday show, a fundraiser where all the proceeds go to um like food banks and stuff like that. So we'll do that. That's like our annual show. And we're happy to do that to help other people out. But there's not a lot of places to play
Mhm.
around this area. There's a few, but again, I'm not looking to play to our friends. And our audience has been building, thankfully. But it's about getting out to other parts of the country and whatnot and showcasing what we do.
Well, it was funny at first because we were getting me and the guys were getting frustrated because we weren't doing shows. But in the grand scheme of things, Steve was being smart about it, being selective on playing, only the best of shows, not just
Yeah.
playing any, backyard fucking barbecue. We really,
We got to a point where I was basically done. I'm like, screw this, I've had it. But in the back of my mind, I said, all right, we'll do selective shows. And then I got the call from Glenn Danzig. He goes, oh, by the way, you're confirmed for the Prudential Center. So I just remember showing my wife the text. Actually, Glenn had texted me, and because he's like, yeah, you're going to be on it, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, wait for, and we got the text. And then I sent the text to the guys. And it says, oh, by the way, we are confirmed for the Prudential Center. And there was like,
Yeah, they must have been so excited.
yeah.
oh,
Yeah, we worked our ass off for that show, because Robbie and all his solo stuff and Chris and Tommy had never played on a real big stage,
not an arena.
Right. You go
Yeah,
from
yeah.
a place like this to a place like this. So it's a different, it's a whole different mind thing. And it's not something that you can just walk onto and say, okay, we're going to do it.
Right.
We worked really hard because, we had a certain amount of time we had to do this, and, everything's union. So you cannot, you can't screw up.
There's no room for error.
No room for error. Whether something goes wrong, it may not.
You might fall on stage.
It might fall on stage. You might walk behind the wrong drum kit. Anything could happen, and
Sure.
it did. But boom, you just keep going.
We rehearsed at 5 different places, 6 different places.
And in different capacities, right? Where you couldn't really hear the vocals. And Chris would go, I can't hear the vocals. Exactly. I don't want you to hear the vocals. You can't rely on the vocals. You may not hear them.
Right. And you can't start over.
No, you can't.
It
So
was like Rocky training to fight Apollo.
right.
basically.
And it paid off. I mean, we had 20 minutes to play, and we literally finished on time. We started on time, finished on time, got our point across. And that was the whole thing, right? It
Mm.
was picking out the set list, like what's going to make the most impact, and stuff like that. So it took a while, and again, we rehearsed it and rehearsed it and rehearsed it. And
How do you now, Robbie? You must have had a lot of pressure on you being the front man. I mean, you can't really rehearse how that crowd's going to react to you or how you're going to react to the crowd. I mean, how'd that go for you?
It was basically what I had to do was just show confidence, show that this whether or not it would have worked was out of my mind. It had to work.
Yeah.
So I just went out there knowing, because we do a very strong crowd participation bit in the final song. We always play Misery Loves Me. So we had it rehearsed that we needed to get the crowd into it enough to get their crowd participation. So there was no thought in my mind where, all right, this is gonna be limp. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
It had to be fucking hard as could be.
yeah, and again, like I said, it was because we rehearsed so much, and it wound up where it's like, oh, we got to do this again. But yeah, we got to do it again. You screw this part. Let's do it again. We'll take it from that part. No, let's take it from the beginning. It had to be boom, boom. You had to keep hitting. You got to keep punching people in the face because, again, no room for error.
Is that something you always had with you, Steve, or did you learn that with
I
Glenn?
learned
Or
that from one of the best frontmen in the world, and Glenn Danzig, obviously. And, you You know, it's just like when you put a recording out, Glenn's like, look, you have to be happy with it. Can't worry about anybody else. You're the one that has to be happy. And it's, you got to remember, once you put it out there, it's there forever, especially now, obviously, right? It's not just on a
Yeah.
piece of vinyl that somebody may forget. It's somewhere online at any given moment around the world. So again, you have to be happy with it and be conscious of what you're actually putting out.
Yeah. I mean, nowadays, I mean, everybody with their cell phones, every show is going to be online potentially.
Yeah, I don't mind that. What I do mind, and it's the same thing with Danzig and all that stuff, and a lot of not just Danzig, a lot of artists. You go to a show and it's great to capture a piece, but when people are standing there like this,
Hmm.
right? And now the person behind you has to watch the show through your phone because they can't see. I've been to shows where people bring their iPads and they're
Oh,
standing there
geez.
like this. And like, are you all right? Come on. You're never gonna watch this.
Right. That's the thing.
Get a
I
picture.
record videos and I don't remember ever going back and watching the videos. It's
So
like,
it's like, get your picture, put your phone down, and just enjoy the show, and you'll have that memory forever.
is that the show where you filmed Misery Loves Me?
Yes.
That video? Okay. Did you film the whole show?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we did.
yeah, the whole show.
Are you going to release that whole show or no?
It would be great to release it someday.
Yeah.
But I think we have some good shows coming up that and in fact, we just got done we were just recording because we're in my studio, and we were just recording a new song which is quite different from anything we've ever done. If it's like it's like The Damned on steroids. And The Damned is one of my favorite bands. I know it's one of his. And fortunately, we got to play with them and watch them at the No Values show. And it's just like, they're just unbelievable. But yeah, so we're just listening to the song, looking at each other going, what the fuck is this?
We already have 5 songs for a future.
Yeah.
For the
release.
next one?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
well, talk about the writing process a little bit. Go back to the first record. I mean, so you get Robbie in the band. How soon after that did you start writing songs?
It was a few months because we did a Black Friday show. That was our first show, right?
Yep.
And it was just kind of like to
See how it goes.
just see how it went. At that time, we had my cousin John had been in the band. He was from back in the day, and so he flew up. And then going forward, John lives in Alabama. So when the Prudential show was announced, he said, well, can I do the show? And I said, well, yeah, but you're going to have to come up here for 2 weeks because we're like rehearsing every other day.
Yeah.
It was like, and he's like, well, what if I just played at home and came in the day before we did it? I'm like, no,
Not
hell
for that
no,
kind of
not
show.
for that kind of
Mhm.
show. This is an opportunity of a lifetime, and we can't risk it for you playing at home. There's parts,
Yeah.
you're not going to know and stuff like that. So unfortunately, everything's cool. He understood. He's got his own band, and it's good. But the writing process started soon after that show, where we just kind of got together. Well, we were in a rehearsal studio, remember, and I came up with this riff, which was "Misery Loves Me,"
Yeah.
and Robbie took it over, finished it, and came down here and recorded it. Then we did another one and another one and another one. And then Cleopatra put out a 45
At the Seville.
at
45.
the Seville
Mhm.
45. And then we're like, let's do a full length. So
Mhm.
that's that.
Does everybody in the band write?
We all
Yeah,
contribute.
everyone contributes. So, myself, him, even like one of the newest songs we have, our guitar player Tommy, Tommy gets bored real easy, and he sits and he sends us videos of him playing stuff. But he played this one thing, and he gets to the one part, and I'm like, that's the beginning of the song, that's the chorus of the song, that's how the song is starting. And he didn't understand it. And I'm like, this is how we're going to start it. And so then, of course, Robbie comes over, and we hash it out. And it's not complete, obviously, until Chris comes down, puts down his parts. Tommy comes and puts his parts, and there's no parts. There's like each person, whether you think their part is uh, minor, it's not. It all contributes to what the sound eventually becomes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I'm a very I'm like I like simplicity, right? Because then there's room to color, right? And so if you need a blank canvas, you have a blank canvas, and now we have our, when you're painting, you have your foundation of your canvas, and then you just start layering. And that's what we do really well with
Mm-hmm.
vocals and everything else. And again, Tommy will come down. He's like, I didn't play much. I only did this. Yeah, but that little thing you did was really a big part of the song.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always, you know, everyone's contributions are really important.
Being a drummer and a bass player, do you see yourself having a lot of input with the bass as well? No, you let that go.
Well, I shouldn't say that I don't. Um, there's things where, we know maybe this might be too busy for the song. I mean, the one thing that we try to do is it's not about the part that he plays, that I play, that Tommy. You have to think for the song and not for the part. Because there are a lot of bands that play, I can't hear my part. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
wait
Mm-hmm.
a minute, it doesn't fit in the song. If it doesn't fit in the song, we're not going to walk on eggshells around each other and say, all right, well, we're going to let that go because we don't want to hurt his feelings. No, fuck that. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And we'll make sure we get something that actually works. But I don't want to be part of, the I like the production aspect.
Mm-hmm.
And our job, all of ours really, is to hear what encompasses and what makes the song,
What
not
grabs you?
right, not what makes the part. The part is just part of the song.
Did you produce this record?
Yeah, we all did.
It's self-produced.
Hmm.
Okay. And you did everything right there in your studio.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay. That sounds great. I mean, it's a great record. I got to be honest with you. I wasn't familiar with the band, and then I heard the record and I was like, "Oh my God, like this is a great record."
I I'm really, really proud of that record, and again, everything we've done. And sometimes, it's like we rehearse down here too in the other room. And it's for me, I get a kick out of it because I look at Tommy and Chris and I just think back 43 years when we started the band.
Yeah.
And it's weird to still see them there, and then hear his voice and his playing and everything. And it gives me chills. So when something gives me chills, that affects me. And I have ADD, so like it has to I have to feel it in order to for myself to maintain like an interest in it before I hit next.
I was going to ask you how much that means to you to have, most of the original guys there with you.
It's important.
Yeah.
It's important. Again, that we're, the three of us are the foundation as to why this happened in the first place. Myself and Chris and this other guy that used to sing in Mourning Noise. We had a band before Mourning Noise in the early 80s called Implosion, and that broke up. And I wasn't even driving. I wound up somewhere.
Still don't know how you
I still don't know how I got where I was, but I met Tommy, and it was someone's basement. We were jamming to Misfits and Black Flag songs, and Tommy and I got to talking, and he had said he wasn't in a band. So I said, would you like to start one? He's like, sure. So I called up Chris and I called up this other guy, and we started Mourning Noise. And that lasted until Tommy got fed up with the singer, and there was, riffs. So he left to go join this other band in New Jersey. And I obviously, joined Sam Hain. So that was kind of the way things went with Mourning Noise, and we got back together once or twice over the years in the 90s just to play. But now it's a whole different thing. Now it's got a whole different life to it. It's a whole different band, but a better band. Again, somebody said to me, yeah, it certainly doesn't sound like the old stuff. I'm like, why would I want to sound the same as it did 43
Yeah,
years ago?
that was a long time ago.
Well, that would mean that none of us grew as people or musicians. You're right. You can't, nobody wants to stick with something from that long ago. That would be really boring.
Now,
So-
Robbie, what were you doing before you got with Mourning Noise?
I've been in just a bunch of bands, but I always had my solo band, and it's cool. It's a different process because with my band, I have my drummer Mark, and we riff off of one another, but ultimately it's my vision. So it's cool to come into this where, if I bring something, it goes through different funnels of creativity and like different basically it takes on all new life as opposed to just a solo thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody adds their input and changes, interpret it to their capabilities. You know what I mean? To their influence. So it's cool.
It's really not. It's not like disruption of where we're not going to follow what he brought down or what Tommy brought down. It's not about that. It's just like there's certain things like we were recording tonight, and as soon as we recorded the basics of the song that we were playing with tonight, we did it last week. I heard this one part, and I kept telling him, I hear this one part, and once we added it, he's like, see, like it's just little things that all of us contribute that again makes it what it is.
Now, Steve, you're playing with Danzig as well. Now, Robbie, are you doing your solo stuff too, or your other band as well too?
Yep.
Okay. So how about the things conflicting with each other? You don't see that being a issue next year when you're going to get busy with Mourning Noise?
No,
They work around each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
I try to be a full-time musician. Like I don't want to be held down to a 9-to-5 job. So that's how I make it work with Mourning Noise and my band because that's all I want to do.
Sure.
I don't want to be confined to, just the fucking soul-sucking job.
Never conform.
I want all my time, my creativity to go towards the two bands because that's what else is there to do? Nobody's gonna remember working at some, dead end job, but they could remember this forever.
Now, do you have anything coming up with Danzig, Steve?
Next year.
Next year. Okay.
Yep.
What's it? I don't know Glenn, but you always hear things about Glenn in the news and all that kind of stuff. What is it really like working with Glenn? Is he easy to work with for you?
Yeah, I mean, Glenn's really interesting because Glenn has always been a visionary. All right. And people can listen to every one of his albums and pretty much every album and everything that he's done, right? Misfits, Samhain, Danzig are all uniquely different from each other. They don't sound the same. And all of the Danzig albums are different. Some people don't like this, some people don't like this. But if they were to all sound the same, that would be like listening to the first Ramones album over and over and over and over. You're not going to get that from him. People are like, oh, he didn't write Another Mother. Hell no. Why would he? That was already done. He's, the amount of songs that man has written is unbelievable. But going back to your question, it's easy to, yeah. I mean, I've been in the band now 18 years, and in 18 years, I know exactly what he expects from everybody, and it just works. It's the type of band now that if we didn't play in a year, and as soon as we hit the rehearsal studio, in less than an hour, the kinks are worked out, and boom, it's like we've been playing for every day. So it just, again, everybody does what they have to do, and that's all that matters. It's the greatest job in the world, and you do it to the best of your ability, like anything else.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you guys have known each other forever too, right?
Yeah, I met Glenn. I was 13, so 46,
Long
47
time.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read that you always wanted to be in a band with, you said you were going to be in a band with Glenn, and
Yeah,
then it happened.
before I even played an instrument.
Yeah, it's so funny. So what drew you to him when you were thinking that?
I sat in on a Misfits rehearsal and through Doyle before he was in the band. We were just kids. And he invited me into the garage and I just sat in the corner and just kind of watched them and I knew right there and then at that moment that that had to be it. That had to be, I believe in manifestation, visualization, and that's exactly what I manifested and exactly what I saw.
And that's what happened. That's awesome.
Why they say be careful what you wish for, you just may get it.
Yeah.
in many different things. So
Yeah.
but in this way I got one lucky son of a bitch.
Yeah. That's awesome. So back to Morning Noise a little bit. You released what, 3 videos from this record? Black Cadillac, the live one,
Screams,
and
Dreams.
wasn't there another one? Oh, Screams and Dreams.
Yeah.
Yep, Screams, Dreams, Black Cadillac, Misery Loves Me, because that's on the full
Yeah,
length.
that's on the full
And then we
length.
have another one that's almost wrapped up that we've been working with an artist on. So
Yeah, that should be out hopefully in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
Can you
So-
say which one or no?
Stranger Hearts.
Yeah, Stranger Hearts.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, so we're constantly trying to evolve and grow and just create.
Mhm.
The creating process to me is like one of the best things I love doing with the three of these guys because again, it's when we're actually playing and it just like we did that Prudential Center and we did No Values and it was just so good. Like, you just feel that the thunder of everything and when you hear people like clapping and mouthing the words to your songs, like, how do you know this? Like, so that people are paying attention. So that's really important.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's a really good record. When I heard it, I forwarded it to a bunch of my friends that I
Thank
thought
you.
would be interested in it, and they all liked it too. So
Cool.
I'm excited to hear that you're working on new stuff too,
Oh
because I
yeah.
didn't know if this was going to be a one-off thing or what.
No, hell no. No.
We got 5 in the can already.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I think on every record we'll do a cover of something. And we did one.
Yeah.
We did one by what was it, Faces.
Faces, yeah.
And
Last song we did the Doors.
yep. So it's always fun to, do something of someone else's
With our own spin, though.
yeah, of
Sure.
course. And we're, it's like the I guess the influences we all have like the same basic influence, right? And we have that core influence of uh from when we were kids. And then things like for him is like Queen and the Good Rats and he's like an old soul, right? And Chris and Tommy are just fucking old. No, just kidding. But no, but they're like Chris really his influences run the gamut of everything, and Tommy too, for that matter. I mean, he likes some really bad bands, and he's gonna yell at me for that. But again, you know he's actually pretty much a wizard when it comes to different things. He won't let us know that, but he's pretty much got the answer for a lot of different things. So when you marry all of that, and again, because we have the same basic influence, when you take in all the other little things, it's what creates what we have.
Mhm.
So we're pretty lucky. We really
Mhm.
are.
Now, this record is available in vinyl on 3 different colors, I think: white,
It's
red, and
in
black.
vinyl, cassette, CD.
How is the cassette selling?
I have no idea.
You don't
I
know.
wish I knew. I, he just asked me when we're going to get our royalty statement. So
That's
I don't
important.
know. There were only 250, I
Something
think,
like that.
made, and the pressing plant screwed up, and so the cover's all wrong. So it's actually a collector's item because there won't be any more cassettes because again, they screwed up the cover and whatnot.
Hmm.
So
Well, it's kind of fun though.
yeah, yeah, you know.
So you put it out on Cleopatra Records? Is that right?
Yes, yep.
Okay. Now, why did you choose to go that route and not just self-release it?
Uh, well, they've been good to us, and they've got great distribution, and distribution is everything. Um, we really like working with them. Brian and Matt, and their guy Ken, and they're they're really good people. They understand the business, and they've been really helpful
Mhm.
with us. So why not?
Now, when you release a record nowadays, do you think about radio or do you think about any of that stuff
I
as you
do.
used to?
I do.
You do.
You know, uh, look, I don't want to call it being corrupt. Terrestrial radio, it is what it is, right? You're only going to hear what's being spoon fed to there, right? Because if you're not Taylor Swift or Sabrina Carpenter these days, you know, you're not getting on. There's a slight chance you may get on in some of these smaller cities or whatnot, and we have, you know, uh, but we've been played on
A lot of serious.
Sirius, so it's been really good, and people are like, wow, I heard you on Sirius. So you know what? I think it's really important. Obviously, things like Spotify and Apple Music are important. Um, you can't deny the effectiveness that that outlet has. It's not We're not getting rich off of it because of the way that whole thing is set up, but it's important to us, especially when we go to play a show where people might come to the show because they heard us, on one of those
That
in
makes
one
me
of those
think,
outlets.
like, I mean, it used to be, if you were getting a certain amount of airplay in a certain market, you would try to hit that market live. How is that judged now? Because you don't know where. I mean, people
That
could be
well,
anywhere.
well, that's true, but you know what? With Spotify, we actually know where we're being played.
It breaks down.
In
Yeah,
to
it
okay,
breaks down, yeah, because they have really, really good algorithms. I haven't seen it for Apple. I'm sure there is a way to see it,
yeah.
but we see it with Spotify. We can tell, the UK is playing it more than Germany or
Even,
France and
even the
whatever.
breakdown of what song
Yeah.
shit he's playing.
Yep.
but can it tell you, like, okay, we're getting a ton of play in Kansas City.
Yep.
We need to go
Yeah.
play that. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And it breaks it down by the age group and everything. So
Okay. Good.
it's a good thing to have. I just hope that in the future it becomes more financially beneficial to the artist, because once
Yeah.
again, it's not about becoming rich off of it. It's about, being able to make a living at your craft, right? It's like going to work.
Sure.
If nobody's paying you to do the job, it's not that you don't like doing the job, but at some point, it's like people will pay $5 for a cup of coffee that they'll piss out in 20 minutes, but they won't pay 99 cents to download a song.
Hmm.
So or then have the Spotify and Apple stuff where they're paying such small amounts of royalty, and it's still the same amount of effort that goes into putting it out. It's so
I saw, I think, was it just recently that Fred Durst has a big lawsuit now with, I think, Universal, is it?
yeah, so yeah, but that had to do with a indie label that they were signed to, and I guess then got distribution through Universal, and they never paid the band um any royalties over all these years, which for Durst, I thought that was kind of interesting because he's a pretty good businessman and has had his, paws in a bunch of things that have actually been successful. Uh, but from what I understand, they have found money that because of a computer glitch got overlooked. You know, we can always blame the computers for that. But yeah, I
I
mean,
thought it
look,
was interesting.
I heard the whole thing. I think it was yesterday
Hmm.
about that.
Hmm.
Yeah, look, it's, it's the music business.
Yeah. It's a tough business. Really
It is
is. It
it
always
is a
has
tough
been.
business. Yeah, I mean, the only way to make money these days, obviously, is through shows and merchandise.
Hmm.
And even merchandise. Look, people wonder why a t-shirt's $40. Well, it's not, the venue takes
Big cut.
20, 25%, sometimes 30.
That's pretty much
So
everywhere, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's tough because once you factor in costs, I mean, people see you, standing on a stage, but they don't know how much it costs to get there. They
Hmm.
don't know how much it costs, if you have a road crew, if you have a bus, if you have a truck or a trailer, and you have obviously a crew, right? To help you out. You got to pay people, you got to pay hotels and maybe airfare or whatever the case may be, fuel. I could tell you that our last Danzig tour, our bus was $1,000 a day plus the driver
Hmm.
plus fuel. So when you figure everything in, you got to figure about $2,000 a day,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's
And
before
when
you,
you're on
that's
a,
before the crew. You
yeah.
know, so there's and insurance.
And
That's the
now with COVID and everything, if someone gets sick in that crew and you're down a day, that's a lot of money right there. Like your whole budget could be blown.
Yeah. I mean, look, we've gone on stage plenty of times where people don't feel good.
Hmm.
I remember I got really sick one time. I was in the hospital during the day and they shot me up with some steroids so I can get through the show that night.
Hmm.
So
You got to
it's
do
what you
it.
got to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only person that can't really do that would be the singer if he couldn't sing.
Yeah.
And that's happened to Glenn. I don't know if it's ever happened to you,
Knock wood.
but
Not yet.
yeah,
Knock on wood.
but it happens, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it
Sure.
happens to a lot of bands, big bands, everybody else can kind of like force their way through as long as they're not throwing up. And I've seen people throw up on the side and then come out, do the show for an hour and a half. But the singer, if he can't sing, they
Hmm.
were just talking about the singer from Journey a few weeks ago.
Yes.
He did
Yes.
the show at Vakken, I think it was, and he couldn't sing.
Yeah.
And he had been sick. And those are hard songs to sing
Yep.
because they don't drop the key. They're in the original key. For that guy to sing those songs, he's been in the band for a long time. That's a hard thing, especially as you age, to hit those notes is not easy. And people were like coming down on him, like, give the guy,
They
give
have
the
no friggin'
right.
clue.
You have no clue
Yep.
what it is
I
when you're
felt so bad for him.
traveling city to city, and it's a toll. And the only thing you have are the muscles in in your throat to use. It's not like it's a guitar where you're going to change strings or tune up. You
Hmm.
don't have that option. So
Hmm.
when you're tired and you don't feel good, this is not working.
Yeah. Robbie, I mean, being a singer, I mean, you said it's never really happened to you, but has there been a time where before the show, you thought, I don't
Yeah,
know
no,
how this is going to go?
there's been times when I've been on tour before where I thought I was losing my voice and you freak yourself out.
Mm.
But really all you could do is just rest and there's, get certain teas and stuff just to try to help you.
Yeah.
But really what it comes down to is just have to recover,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, there's tricks that you could do as a singer, like if you know there's certain big notes coming up, go for a lower one. Don't, because people would rather listen to you sing at least in key lower than crack trying to go high if you're feeling sick. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So that's
Sure.
just certain things that you kind of have to learn as you go. What could you do if you're not feeling well to cheat way? You know what I mean? Cheat through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Okay.
certain things you just can't, you can't do. It's like he was saying, it's not a guitar or a drum.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
muscle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like everything affects it. Sleep, and people like, oh, you guys must party. Hell no. If you got to do a show the next day,
No.
you got to be really careful because, you know, I don't care if it's 5 people that come to the show or 5,000. They all deserve the same show. And deserves to be good, to the best that you can be.
Yep. No, I
So,
agree. I agree. Now you originally started on drums, right, Steve? Not bass.
mhm,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. And so when you went to bass, I mean, have you ever played bass before? Like practiced on it or a guitar or anything?
Well, a little bit on rhythm guitar, but in my room, I never played out with rhythm guitar. I knew how to bar a chord. As soon as I learned how to bar a chord, I wrote a song. And that was like the beginnings of Mourning Noise, really.
Uh-huh.
But otherwise, no, I didn't even own a bass. I borrowed a bass from a friend to learn the Danzig songs, and that was it.
Yeah. Do you
So
prefer drums or bass?
it depends. Bass is fun. In front of the audience, I love the best part of if playing is obviously connecting with the audience. It really is. Playing to the audience is everything. You're either going to win them or you're going to lose them, and I like to win. Robbie does a really great job with it. It's important that everybody connects because again, they paid their money to come see you. I watch bands and I see bands that the singers like singing to the drummer. Like, what are you singing to the drummer for? The people are in front of you, but they're nervous, and it's like, why are you up there? I see bands that get on stage and it looks like they just got done with the shift on the tilt-a-whirl. It's like, maybe you could dress the part, maybe, or something, at least
Give it
put a
some effort.
little effort, just a little bit,
Yeah. That's fun.
so there's that. But I like both. I mean, drums is I'm a minimalist on drums. I like to just keep a beat.
Mhm.
I'm not flashy. You never really turn on the radio and hear flash. I could leave that to the really good drummers. I just I like to be the timekeeper. Um, and the music surrounds, the beat.
Yeah.
So, and bass, look, I get my rocks off by playing right in front of someone's face. So
Sure.
it's a lot of fun.
Sure. That's awesome. All right, guys. Well, again, the record is out now. People can get it. Where's the best place for them to purchase that? Where can they go to purchase that?
So Mourning Noise bandcamp.com.
Yep.
Okay.
Cleopatra Records.
Cleopatra Records.
Independent stores should have it.
Yeah, a bunch of record stores.
And or listen to us on Spotify, Apple. We're there.
Purchase from Bandcamp. Does that come directly from you guys?
No.
No, that comes it's through Cleopatra.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. All right. I might have to pick up one of those cassettes.
I'd like
If they're
I'd
still
like
left.
one myself. I have one.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I did? I have a shirt. I got a Mourning Noise shirt.
Oh, thank you.
cool.
Because I pay for the streaming services, so I had the music there, but I have my vinyl back there too. I'm going to pick up the vinyl and the cassette.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm going to do
And
that.
where are you located?
I'm in South Carolina, Myrtle Beach.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Very-
So, all right, guys. Well, again, I appreciate the time.
Thank you so much. I'm glad we were able to do this.